Oh, there we go. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a podcast about movies and how we see them. This is episode 2, and on this episode, we will discuss our experience watching the film here and our thoughts immediately following with some criticism. I am one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell. Joining me, as I hope to do every week, are my co-hosts, Necessary Roger Stillion and the lovely Chris Braun.
Necessary?
Yeah.
Necessary because I have the control scheme, I guess.
You are now necessary.
I just thought I was thinking of your name, and I thought of Interstellar when he's like, "We have to do it." He's like, "No, it's necessary." That's a great line. But
I'm excited for the Interstellar re-release. By the way,
how do you like
Nice.
your new nickname, Roger?
I'm going to be honest. I hate it. So
All right, try another one next week. There we go. All right. What's going on, guys? Any quick thoughts before we head into the show?
So big day in cinema today. You guys don't know it because I didn't tell it to you pre-hand.
Okay.
Because look, I want it to be a surprise. You know, today is the 10th anniversary of the original John Wick.
It
Is
is
it really?
It is.
Today is the day.
oh hell yeah!
Yes.
And it's going back in
Good-
theaters too for a bit.
Good on John Wick for getting 10 years old.
Yep.
A lot of
I mean, like, look, dude, it did a lot.
huge body count for 10 years
So,
old. But, you know,
buddy.
Yep.
Very cool.
I'm a big fan of it. I'm gonna watch it this week. I have plans to watch it this week. So
nice.
very, very excited for that. You guys gonna watch it?
Yeah.
You guys gonna try to check that out?
I mean, like, look, I've seen John Wick enough times that as much as I would love to be like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down and do a frame by frame breakdown of John Wick, the first one for the 38th time in my life, probably not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
it's a good day though.
Fair. Okay. Well,
It's a
I'm
good
yeah,
day.
it's a good. I wonder if they're gonna release the other ones if this one does well, because lately the re-releases, like if you remember, Phantom Menace did like 15 million. Like that's not a small
Yeah.
number. Like that's a huge number.
Yeah, Star Wars fans are crazy though.
Yeah, it's true. But other re-releases have also done some money too. But then the ones that like Coraline didn't do anything, didn't even
Nope.
blip. But I
Mhm.
mean, some do well, some don't. But I'm a fan of re-releases, seeing things on a big screen you may not have seen before. I'm
Well,
a fan of
that's
those.
actually my thing. I'm excited to go see Interstellar when it comes out on re-release because I never saw that in theaters. I actually watched it the first time in recent months, so I'm very excited to go and see that. in
Yeah, you hadn't
theaters.
seen Interstellar until fairly
Fairly
recently, right?
yeah, and I can't believe I went this long without seeing it.
Yeah.
It's an actual travesty.
Hey man, that's all right.
Also, I watched The Martian
Oh yeah,
last night
Nice.
was that for the first time?
for the first time.
What did you think?
it was really good.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that author is getting another movie made.
Good,
So,
good.
yeah,
Andy
very-
Weir.
yeah.
You know, I have that book too. I'll
Yeah.
be glad to share it with you.
Yeah.
A lot more science nerd shit in there.
It's
though.
all right.
That's a really a hell of a movie, man. The Martian just kind
It
of
was.
came
It
out
was
of
cool.
nowhere. Yeah.
It was cool.
I'm really excited for, and I think I saw a rumor that Nolan's next film is maybe okay. I don't want to. Maybe I'm wrong, and I was just taken by clickbait. But the remake of The Untouchables, with like the Brian De Palma film with Sean Connery and Kevin Costner.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard that.
So look, I may be just completely talking about clickbait. I think I saw that, but yeah, I'm really,
The only thing I've heard about Mr. Nolan recently is the fact that he's not going to work with Warner Brothers for a while. I guess. So,
yeah, I've definitely heard that. I don't like to get into the
Yeah.
rumor mill, but I've definitely heard that.
well, no, so that's not really a rumor because his next movie is definitely not going to be a Warner Brothers movie.
Well, I'm kind of happy because Share the Love, man. Is
Hey, it's coming home back to my studio.
if he's been
The studio that I own stock in, by the way.
There you go.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
there you
much.
go.
really
Yep.
nice, good for you. How much stock?
Yes,
how,
fucking course I do.
how much stock do you own in that?
I don't know, several thousand.
That's his private portfolio. That's
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
that's
that's my
super rude
personal
to ask.
finances.
If it's done well for you, I'd tell the people, help them buy shares.
Why would I want to do that?
This is not financial advice. We have to
Yeah,
say that now.
Don't listen to some asshole on the radio
That's fair.
about
Yeah,
what
fair.
stocks that they own.
Fair enough, gentlemen. Well, how do you feel about starting the show?
Let's do it.
I think we should. What we got today?
Well,
we doing
on the
tonight?
agenda.
Hey, you guys know I have buttons I can push now.
Oh,
my
God.
goodness, I'm so scared for this. I've handed over the reins to Roger, and I don't know if that was a good idea, but time will tell. Time will.
I can
definitely
assure
tell.
you, it probably wasn't. In
Oh
certain
yeah,
cases.
no, it's just so bad.
Once again, folks, this is episode 2 of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about our experience watching weekly, usually theatrically film, and our thoughts and criticism immediately after the viewing. Please bear with us as we come closer to the full and official launch with Gladiator 2 and those episodes beyond.
Ooh.
This week, we have some good content to discuss, including the following. We are going to talk a little more about what we're doing here. Maybe just a minute or two. I've just been thinking a lot. I mean, I know all the three of us collectively have been, we're kind of rapidly texting and Chris filling out the mirror board for us to see, and we have some ideas going forward, implementing slowly. But I'm actually really excited about the direction that we're headed.
Show prep, man.
I think
it's
weird.
incredible.
I think we have a really solid, things to implement, and I'm really happy that we're doing it.
Yeah, we also come from solid foundations too. I think from what we were doing before, so it works
I would agree. And then we're going to get to the box office, and then Roger today is responsible for the what streaming. He has a cinematic treat for you to experience.
Oh yes.
And then we're going to talk about Then we're going to get into our favorite Tom Hanks movies real quick, and then jumping into the movie of the week for us here with Tom Hanks by director Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah,
A little bit different type of movie.
True. Yeah.
Just a question: were you guys expecting that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the trailer makes it seem a little bit different, but I have a slightly different movie theater experience that I'll discuss with you guys.
It's probably similar to mine, but we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess because I didn't know anything about what Chris might say, so we'll find out if it's the same.
We'll find out.
I'm really excited to get into that. I'm really kind of.
Me and Chris do go to the same movie theater.
It's true.
Always, because we have to, because it's the only one we got.
It is the only one.
It is not by choice, but it is the only one we got. Let's talk about for 1 second the show going forward and what some ideas we may have. Maybe not the ideas in particular, but just ideas in general about the show, where we're going. This is episode 2, which is one of the soft episodes before the real launch. We're just kind of working out the kinks, working with new video software to record the video for YouTube. So I just. Here's to hoping that if anything goes wrong, I hope it goes wrong in these episodes so we can fix them.
Yeah, sure. Like I honestly, if there's going to be a cursed episode, I hope it's this one.
Yeah.
Because listen, it wasn't last one. The last one turned out pretty okay.
Yeah.
So
you guys are the tech guys. I have this light I'm trying to position on my desk. You guys are the tech guys. So like if we need to fix something, I count on your expertise to fix that before next episode.
I would like to point out that that tech guys should be used very loosely, even with Roger and I. That's
tech.
Yeah, it's more technical than Grayson makes us tech guys in his eyes. So
sure, but I mean, you guys know more tech than I do. But
look, bro, I can stream to Twitch. I figured that shit out. So
yeah, and I figured out how to add mods to Minecraft, so I'm pretty good at.
Oh wow! All right,
look at you. I didn't know we were just flexing out over here.
I know we're just flexing out over here. Damn, that's funny, Chris. Dropping the Minecraft name so early.
Listen,
Jeez
man,
Louise.
you have no idea the pain that was to get Minecraft to look like Minecraft 2 in 2024, but it is what it is.
All right, moving forward, we will have I think the first, whatever we call a B episode or like additional content, will be an episode focusing on a Gladiator from 2000 and our hopes, and for me at least, super heightened expectations of what we're getting. I know you guys don't expect what I expect, but I'll be honest. I expect another Best Picture nominee, and maybe I'm foolish for expecting this, but I just want it so badly. For Ridley Scott, I want it for Gladiator, I want it for Denzel, I want it. So many reasons I want this movie to be good.
Me and Ridley Scott got beef, so
I mean, everyone's gonna watch it on their.
It's old beef at this time.
Yeah,
basically,
indeed. But I'm really excited for that. But let's look at the box office, gentlemen.
Yeah. Let's jump in the box office.
How do you feel about number 1 being Venom: The Last Dance? Another 26.1, which is a pretty good showing for another week. Do you guys know what the worldwide for this is?
No,
Not
actually,
at this
I haven't
point,
looked
no.
at any box office this week.
317.
Okay,
All right.
that came up quite a bit.
It's not upset about that, I promise.
I've actually thought about last week, and I know we don't do like a score on this, but I like it a little, marginally more than I did last week. Now that I'm thinking about it, and I've actually digested it a little bit, but I think a slightly higher though. I mean, I failed it on a pass fail scale, so like how much I don't know, but I do think it's a better movie than we maybe talked about last.
So you think it sucks slightly less?
Yes, I mean, of course.
Okay,
Sucks slightly less.
Still
No.
sucks though.
I think my discussion of Venom: Last Dance is spot on to exactly how I still feel today.
Fair. Number 2, The Wild Robot, 7.6 million with a worldwide of 269. Nice.
Nice.
Indeed.
So the children's movie, huh? That's
Nice.
Wow.
You're
Hey, listen.
Hey,
Hey,
I got the cups right there. Wild
I
Robot.
thought we moved
Hey,
past some
hey,
things.
hey.
I'm just saying.
Roz is shapely. That's all I'm saying.
We
Whoa,
have
You know
not
what I mean?
moved past anything. Smile 2, number 3, 6.8 million. I do hope to catch that one this week.
That's got to be slightly disappointing, right? For Smile,
I think
What is
so.
it?
only
Total?
6 million.
6.8 with a worldwide of 109. I think the first Smile was leagues ahead of it at this point, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
I'll have to go back and check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it did make more money. I think it was. I think it made buku bucks compared to this one.
Well, see, as popular as the first Smile was, Conclave on Halloween weekend made 5.3 million when Smile 2 made 6.8. Put that into perspective.
Sponsor's been out for longer though.
No, well, sure, but on the Halloween weekend where it should have done more.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Conclave's only sitting at a
Well,
15 million worldwide.
So I'm sorry. Before you go on, I want to cut you off, but like,
Yeah.
let's talk about. So this last Friday or last Thursday was Halloween. So
Mm-hmm.
this is technically the weekend after Halloween. We're recording this on a Sunday,
Correct.
which
Yeah.
is what we normally do. So we get a full, pretty much overview of the weekend. Like, so going to the movies yesterday, like there was a decent crowd there, but
Mhm.
like I don't know when everybody was going because I don't wait in line to buy tickets. I just go to the kiosk and get my shit and go
Yeah.
because I'm not a moron. But like there wasn't a lot of people there for like a 7:00 show, or I was a 6:50 show
Mhm.
on a Saturday. Like it wasn't many people there, and I'm like, is it just like post Halloween? It's not very busy, or because like there wasn't a whole lot of scary movie stuff going on this weekend at all,
Okay.
and even last weekend too when I was at Venom, the only people that I saw were going to Venom.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, hey, well, like half the crowd's going to see Venom. You know, there are a handful of people going to see Smile. It was all Venom then. So like with Smile being the only quote scary movie out right now, pretty soft, right?
Yeah. I don't know how much of that is kind of like our area kind of deal, Roger, just because it is a slower area for,
Sure.
for that kind of stuff. Our crowd is older, average age, probably average age of the citizens around here is 66. So it's I think that plays into it. But the other piece is I just don't think the movies that are out right now are that exciting.
I agree with Chris.
don't
Yeah. No, so
think-
well, no,
yeah.
that's the point I was trying to make, right? Because
Yeah.
like, you know, obviously Smile comes in third place, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But like, that's not much money at
Hold
all.
on, hold on.
And
Third
I-
place on a Halloween weekend, the scary movie should have been the number one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
but here's the thing. I will counter one thing though, Chris, because like you know, if people don't know, it's like we had a local AMC that just very recently, at the beginning of September,
No,
Closed down.
shuttered.
October.
Was it October?
I think it's
No,
only
it was
it's only
September.
been a few weeks.
No, it
It's-
shut down in September in our area.
Yeah, it was in
Oh, well,
September.
maybe
So
they
I mean,
had
like,
to
look,
close it
abruptly.
it's been more than a month,
Yeah.
okay? But like, if you wanted to go see a movie, you have one choice. So it's not like it could have been like, oh, maybe the other movie
So it should be
theaters.
funneling a little bit
Yeah,
more
so like
crowd,
maybe the other
yeah.
movie theater is busy this weekend. That can't be the case. So
No, well, that's the point I was trying to make is I don't look, and this is inside baseball for people who live in the area or know the distances. That's not a short drive. I mean, it's just not. I mean, even if it's 30 minutes, that's not. I mean, some people might look at that as I could just catch something on Netflix. Why would I? Why am I going to drive 30, 40 minutes to? So I mean, it's weird. The location of that one movie theater is odd. I'll give it that, but
Yeah.
it is what it. I mean, like AMC had to have major reason to pull out, and I think they made a mistake. At least through the holidays, they should have stayed. But maybe they know something I don't
I
know.
did think that was weird, right?
Yeah, it was abrupt. So I mean, there's a few things that could have played into that, obviously. But I mean, hopefully Marquee doesn't close down too
Man,
in our area. So it is what it is.
number 5.
I'll tell you what will be a prompt end to this show.
it would make things uniquely difficult.
Yes, it would.
No, it wouldn't. It's not.
Simplifies them greatly.
It's pretty fucking clean cut. No drama what would happen.
All right, number 5 here, 5.0 million with a worldwide of 5 million. That's so disappointing for a Tom Hanks movie.
I'm ready to say it if you guys want to hear it from me.
Hold on, just save it for the discussion. Just, I know what you said.
Hold on.
Okay.
I know what you're going to say,
I-
but you're wrong because it outdrew juror number 2 this week.
We didn't know. It had to.
Hey, facts are facts, brother.
Oh, all right,
You
all
bet
right.
against it,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
lost.
okay. Six,
All right,
six,
all right.
6 through 10. We live in.
I don't want to look at the per screen average, so like that's going to really fuck things up.
So we live in time number 6. Number 7, Terrifier 3 that's sitting at a $63 million worldwide. That's got to be a $10 or less million budget. So they're
It was $2 million.
$2 million budget.
Yeah.
We talked about
Oh,
it. It
so
was
they're doing very
it's like
well.
a $2 million budget.
They're really kind of celebrating that. Then good for them.
I bet they are.
Number 8 is Shoot. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. I don't know how to say it. Number 9 is Sing 'Em Again. Number 10, Beetlejuice. Another movie I expected to do more on Halloween.
I guess that's a Halloween movie, right?
Yeah, but look,
Yeah.
it's been out for
Yeah.
2 months though.
That one's been out for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's sitting at 445, so that's also pretty good for them on a $100 million
Good for it.
budget. That's like 250.
That might hit $500 million.
Yeah, it certainly could.
It's unlikely that it will, but it might.
It keeps on chipping at $3 million at a time. It might if it stays around.
Yeah.
If it
Maybe it's
wants
got
to.
another market to hit in. Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure could though. It really could.
Neat.
There's your box office. I don't think much. I mean, I expected Smile to do a little better, but the movies where they sit are pretty much what I expected. Give or take maybe one thing. But
Here's the thing: pretty soft weekend overall.
Yeah.
Like that's the
agree.
real thing.
I agree. Although I think Roger might have the best movie of the weekend in his. So the what streaming section is starting, and instead of doing 3, we're gonna do 1. And Roger volunteered to kick us off with the original Ghostbusters, which also happens to be if I'm not mistaken, one of your favorite movies of all time, right?
It is. So the original Ghostbusters came out in 1984. It is one of my favorite movies. It's a movie I watched 1,000 times as a little kid. One of the movies we had on VHS because I think we actually might have had, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here.
Huh.
I think we actually had it on Beta.
Whoa.
Well, here's the thing:
Okay.
Beta was a superior product.
Yeah.
It
all right,
was.
Yeah.
It was. VCR just went out because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
So
True.
like we absolutely had a Betamax for a long time. But yeah, I definitely had this. So I watched Ghostbusters a lot. This is an iconic comedy. Like I'm sure if you're even remotely interested in movies or anything like that, you at least know of Ghostbusters. There's been some recent movies that have come out that one was pretty good, one slightly less so, and we have some weird thing in the middle of all that sort of happened. But there are 5 Ghostbuster movies at this point, and like this movie was massively successful. Obviously, like changed lexicon
Oh yeah.
a little bit. The whole "who you gonna call" phrase
Mhm.
is literally where that come from. So
Did you know in 1975 there was a kids show called Ghostbusters?
I do actually.
That
So
is-
I've actually seen that show.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Is it related in any way?
No.
Okay.
No,
I was
not
confused
at
when I
all.
saw this.
No, it is not. I've actually seen some episodes of that because, like, when I was a little kid, this is back when Ghostbusters came out.
Yeah.
I think my mom got those on like a tape or something. She's
Thinking
like, "Oh,
it-
these
thinking
said
it was for
Ghostbusters," and like
Ghostbusters,
we're
yeah.
watching it, and I remember like, "This is not
Bless-
what we're supposed
Bless
to."
mom's heart.
Yeah, I mean, like, look,
Yeah.
she tried.
Yep.
She tried. The cool thing about Ghostbusters too is because like Ghostbusters is weirdly a family movie.
Yeah.
Like it appeals to like all ages, which is kind of nice. So like I know my parents liked it, which so they didn't mind when I had it on all the time.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I do know I'm a little bit older than you guys, but I'm sure you guys have both watched the original Ghostbusters thousands of times at this point. Is that probably fairly accurate?
I've seen it ones of times, but yeah.
I think
Ones of times.
I think I've probably seen it 25 plus. So I did
Okay.
rewatch it this week though because I wanted to give
Yeah.
it that consideration. But
Mhm.
certain things always come back to my mind when I watch Ghostbusters, and I hope you can see the
Mhm.
squinting of my eyes. Is how much I love Bill Murray as Venkman. Like
Sure.
I cannot. It's my favorite line of the film, and every time I laugh like it's the first time. Do you remember when he knocks on he knocks on the apartment where Sigourney Weaver's already been like possessed by Gozer, and she answers the door and says, "Are you the keymaster?" He's already had this they've already had this weird little like flirty situations through the film, and he
Mhm.
says no, and then she just shuts the door, and he knocks again, and she says, "Are you the key holder?" He goes, "Yes," and just walks in because he's trying to
Yes.
get with her. It's just, I just think it's funny, and it just catches me off guard
Mm.
every time. But that is so Bill Murray, though. It just, God, how iconic
mean-
Venkman is in the iconic movie of Ghostbusters.
Well, I mean, so let's talk about the cast for a second. So obviously we have Bill Murray as
Mhm.
Mr. Peter Venkman. We have Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis who wrote it, and then Winston Zeddemore, Ernie Hudson, and Janine is Annie Potts. Rick Moranis is in here. Sigourney Weaver, obviously, like that's the big set. of people that are here, and like they work really well as like buddy comedy thing, which is funny, and like everybody has their own unique side story. Like Egon's a big science nerd, and Ray's the tech guy that works on the engines and stuff, and Winston's just some dude who's just happy to be there. It's like literally was like, hey, I need a job, and they're like, you're hired.
Yep.
Like he's just the story about Winston though is a little bit deeper than, like he was a Marine. Like they don't ever talk about that. But, like that's part of his thing. So like he thought it would be easy.
They only ever addressed that in any of the slightest way on the cartoon back in the day. They talk about
his military stuff. Yep. So that's the other thing too. Like this, not only did it spawn a second direct sequel to this, it spawned a very long running Saturday morning cartoon that had like 4 versions of it at one point
over the time.
So the Ghostbusters was a big deal, like massive toy success, things like that.
That's how I was introduced to it, was the cartoon.
Sure.
And then I went back and saw the movies later on. I'm the youngest out of us 3, and I think that plays a lot into that. I just missed that era of cartoons.
Well, right? Look at that. He's got the.
I got the popcorn bucket from the Ghostbusters.
Hey.
But it's pretty good though for $40.
Yeah, the trap.
It is what it is.
40?
It was 40.
It was only $40. That looks. I mean, I guess it's not as cool as my Optimus Prime one that I got. But no, I would definitely bought that shit for $40.
Oh yeah.
But Ghostbusters. The thing with Ghostbusters is like it's a wildly science fiction based comedy.
Yeah.
Which is funny to think about because it's like why is this successful? But it is, and it works very, very well because like it's legitimately funny and it's legitimately sciencey.
Yeah.
Sciencey to a point. We're like, they explain stuff and we're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Because I mean, they're legitimately shooting ghosts with laser beams, trapping them in a box and stuffing them in a hole. Like that's what they do with them. Like they take the ghost carcass
as one does.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do with it? I guess.
Yeah, of course.
But it really truly is like Ghostbusters is a movie that I would implore people, like if you have never seen it, by the chances of not seeing it at this point are slim for most folks, but if you've never seen it, take time and do like a clean watch, like no phone, nothing, just watch it straightforward, and I guarantee you will find it at least funny because it really is funny. Hell, there is a ghost blowjob scene in this movie.
Jesus.
There is. Like something that you wouldn't think about, like when Ray is so strung out.
Dan Aykroyd,
yeah,
it
happens.
I get it.
Yeah, Ray Stantz. It's
Stantz.
Sorry, I'm always kind of taken aback by when I watch this how well it's written. And it's weird because like I think you probably could have maybe cut it down by 10-ish minutes, but I think they looked at the script and said, no, I don't think we need to. We got the A-list talent here. Let's use it. And also. I don't know how in depth we went in talking about, we talked about when Afterlife came out, it is pretty much a remake of Ghostbusters 1984. And down to the dog, even down to people getting trapped in the dogs, who they were in the relation to the characters. It's Gozer again, isn't it? Isn't
so? Yeah, I would argue it's not a remake. It is. It is the third piece of that pie that goes back to the original bad guy.
Yeah.
But it does it in a unique way. Like I dug Afterlife. I know you guys know that.
You could have never seen the first Ghostbusters, and Afterlife will make 100% sense.
Yeah, of course.
So I do think it stands alone.
As long as you know that like they did something in an earlier film, and like now they're kind of crackpots. You know what I mean? Like that's what you need to know. But I thought Afterlife was. I was impressed. I would put that in the upper tier echelon of like well written 30 years, 40 years later sequels. Yeah. But then Frozen Empire came along and
it undid a lot of that.
The reason I'm so mad. Sorry, Chris. Let me say this, and you can jump right in.
Yeah.
The reason I'm so mad at this is Frozen Empire is like you have someone like Finn Wolfhard who.
Sure.
Really mattered in the first
film. Is a big young star, by the way.
You can literally take his character completely out with editing of Frozen Empire, and it wouldn't make a bit of difference.
Well, here's the thing. I would argue that they took him out with just a bit of writing. So
sure, I mean, it's just
that's something that definitely.
The sad part about that whole movie is you could do that to a few specific characters, right?
Yeah,
and they're supposed to be major players in the story, but in a weird way, they kind of like pigeonholed each of these what could have been like equally main characters all the way through the movie telling, and
Yeah.
literally like wrote them into these bad stories that meant nothing in the end. So
Yeah.
we all know Frozen Empire was bad. Afterlife was a breath of fresh air.
It was
And
great.
and
Really was.
I'm kind of working backwards here, but like the second Ghostbusters film from back in the day was not great, but the first one was fantastic.
Sure.
So it's like they seem to have a pattern. So by all means, the next Ghostbusters movie should fucking rock.
Well, if
is what it
hold
comes
on,
down to.
if we get one, I don't.
I know.
Look, I don't want to
I
break
know.
your heart, Roger. I saw the
No,
look
look.
on your face, but
Here's the thing. At this point, I assume that it will take a lot of effort to get the third, which most of them are contractually obligated for,
Yep,
which
yep,
is
yep.
helpful.
Yeah, which is good.
They are obligated to do that or contractually bound to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just, if it does get made, I just want it to be good. Like,
Yeah.
that's a simple thing because, like, I love to watch it, and it does fill a void
Mhm.
to me. So, like, I love doing that.
I don't. So like we talk about nostalgia
Mhm.
a lot when we
Sure.
talk about movies because it is a very present force within the movie sphere now.
Yeah, it has to
at
be.
this point. But like nothing, I don't think anything in me triggers quite so much instant nostalgia and that weird like you can't help but smile moment when I hear the siren.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
as
course.
soon as I hear that, I'm not even like that big of a Ghostbusters guy,
Yeah.
but it hits me right in my kid years.
Well,
right?
it is a very distinct sound.
It really
Same with
is.
the other one that I always loved from Ghostbusters is the proton pack kicking on.
yeah.
The twing.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And it just goes right into like a low pitched hum, where like that something big is in
Mhm.
there. Like whoa.
Well, just like the whole time leading up to Frozen Empire,
Mhm.
and like every time I saw the trailer or heard the sound, I smiled, like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be an awesome movie. Roger's excited. Now when I hear, it's like, oh man, that movie sucks.
God damn it.
Well, see,
I know Roger's someplace being sad right
and
now.
I just
Yes.
two things I want to say, and then I'll be done. You guys can say whatever you want. But I
Mm-hmm.
just watched I watched the third act of Afterlife, and I'm telling you, it's when I forget what is it. Who is it? The girl from Saved who's in Afterlife?
Yeah.
What's her name? I forget her name, but she's amazing, and she has that hero moment where like the villain has the Ghostbusters, and they're like, even Venkman's like, "We're done, man. Just kill us. We're toast.
Smoked.
We're toast." And then she shoots her in the back. She is the girl. I forget her name. So Phoebe, is it Phoebe?
Phoebe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Phoebe goes her in the back and turns around, and like you get that track in shot of like the hero moment, and she's just like, "We're gonna do this. I'm gonna die killing you. You're gonna kill me. Let's fucking do this." Like that's a hero moment, man. And then the moment they just double down on that by putting, because Harold Ramis had passed, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's long since passed,
But they
unfortunately.
incorporated it in, which I thought was brilliant and very necessary. When like
Yep.
the other, like the Ghostbusters, as they're holding the stream steady, is like they each take turns looking at him, like, and then they do a double take. Like that's a great moment.
I thought you might show up.
But that's built off of the
Sure.
back of the original movie. and
Sure.
how good- and how good it
Absolutely,
is. I love
absolutely.
it, so
So I would argue that like even when they remade Afterlife, it's almost like Ghostbusters 2 and the other one, which we shan't talk about, never happened. And like I don't.
Well, so
That's the thing.
I never got the vibe that they always wanted it, like Ghostbusters 2 didn't happen, but they always wanted it to be that Afterlife would call back to one in ways
Of
that
course.
you would want it to be and still be somewhat fresh.
yeah,
I would consider Afterlife the second best Ghostbusters movie.
agreed.
I would
It
I would
is-
agree with that.
To me, it is one, Afterlife, which I guess is technically the fourth movie, and then 2. Like those are my top 3 Ghostbusters movies, and like you could probably interchange Afterlife and 2 slightly, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, number 1 is the best movie. Like one of my favorite lines of the first movie is, so like they trudge up through like the apartment to the end, and all of a sudden like there's this doorway appears in the wall, and like there's these stairs, and he goes, "Where do these stairs go?" And he just goes, "They go up." And that's it. They just start walking up the stairs. That's the end of the
Well,
joke.
I just watched it. So Venkman is at the head of the pack. Lightning strikes the top of the stairs, and then he.
Tyler, you had your
Yeah, that's
Go
what
ahead.
he
Go
goes,
ahead.
"Come on, guys, let's go. Come on."
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Get
But
moving.
I mean-
Bill Murray, like, I mean, talk about like Hugh Jackman, perfect casting. Like, I think Bill Murray is like, for Venkman, Bill Murray was it. Like, there was,
Yep.
it's in my mind, he's, one of those 10 or 15 in cinema history, like perfect casting for the role, and
Yep.
he just made it work. And what's more, it's like Aykroyd and Ramis, when they wrote it, they knew it too. It's like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like they had to have known that.
Well, and here's the thing: they came right off of writing for like SNL.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For that too. Like that's something that led directly into that.
Yeah.
So
talking about Afterlife in the first one, I
Okay.
think the first one is only better to me because Afterlife's effectiveness isn't there without the first movie.
no,
You know what I mean?
Not at all. Not at all.
While you don't need to have ever seen the first movie to appreciate Afterlife, you don't get as many layers.
It really helps, though, didn't it?
It really does, and it matters. Otherwise, I would lean on Afterlife being actually like in just a better overall made movie, just because
Nah.
it's more modern. There's less like trailing off to like weird things and weird
Sure.
happenings, and like how movies were made back then. They kind of like were unfocused at times, and it still worked. But you need it to make Afterlife as effective as it is, so it has to be the first one.
completely disagree with almost everything you just said, but I mean, look,
No,
each their own. I mean, I think the writing was as snappy as it was because of who wrote it. But like again, I say that with like you probably could have easily trimmed 10 minutes out of that from if you before you were shooting, maybe even 15, and like no problem. But like the comedy works. And like maybe that's what they were going for in Frozen Empire. Like they wanted to get that comedy back that like it wasn't Bill Murray anymore. Maybe they wanted to do it through Finn Wolfhard and Slimer, which completely just
Yeah, it really worked.
it's just
Yeah,
it's a shame because something happened to the making of that movie, and we'll get into it one day. Maybe we'll see but it's
it
just
felt forced. that's
I
all.
agree, it felt forced. But Roger, excellent choice, man. That's
Hey, just want to let you know, like deep down, I will always love Ghostbusters, at least the first couple of them. So I'm always here for it. One last thing I'll say about it is one of the coolest things that I think in recent things for Ghostbusters, besides the two recent movies, is there are some really well done comic book lines and graphic novels that come off of
True.
it that are really deep stories that actually work really well.
Mhm.
And if you're interested in Ghostbusters, if you saw this, be like, hey, man, I forgot how much I love Ghostbusters, and you get a chance to check them out in print, you should do it. Like they're good and they really fit in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So
Especially if you're looking for a Ghostbusters itch to scratch and there's
Sure.
nothing that you haven't seen yet.
or like,
I
look,
agree.
they have 7 full storylines. So
Heck yeah.
the one other
Hell
thing
yeah.
I wanted to say earlier was like I say this as a joke, but like I do hope you feel some of my like anger and pain towards like Roger for a franchise that you love, because so many of mine have just been obliterated beyond
Oh yeah.
recognition. Like I have like 10 that I'm like very upset about all the time. But like I don't want you to feel the pain, but like I hurt that you do, but like that sucks because that just happened. Like I don't even think Ghostbusters 2 in the one in like 2014 with Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Wiig, and the Melissa McCarthy. I don't really think like they derailed Ghostbusters as much as like I'm talking about until
No, it
Frozen
doesn't.
Empire.
Yeah. It
Frozen
doesn't feel
Empire
like
just
it.
destroyed it. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that's
All right.
If you,
So yeah.
if you,
Hey,
you've not seen
guys,
Ghostbusters-
watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah, if
It
you've not
fucking
seen
rules.
Ghostbusters, that movie
It does.
awesome. It was
does.
available recently on Hulu, but it went away as of Friday.
Yeah.
morning.
It's available on Stars right now on the Stars app if you have it.
Yeah,
It's available on a couple other subscription services behind a paywall.
Yeah, you can grab it on Stars for sure if you have access to that. The other thing is that it is on Amazon, but it's one of the few ones where you have to actually like, even though you have the subscription, you have to rent or buy it still.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, so those are the only two places right now that I can find it, but you can go watch if you have access to one of those two.
Look,
those
most
two
people
items.
have that on VHS.
It's worth the rent, honestly. It's worth the $3.99 or $4.99 to
I
watch
agree.
it for a night if you want to watch something cool you haven't seen.
And it has been remastered into 4K.
Yes,
So, yes.
very true.
I imagine most people have that kicking around in their VHS collection. I imagine
I should check
yeah,
and see.
I imagine, but
Yeah.
I should look, see if I can dig it out of some bootleg copy of
Some weird
Ghostbusters.
clamshell or something.
No, listen, I'm sure it's like been recorded. There's like 5 movies on that same thing. back to back federal crimes committed in my house. That's right, baby.
admitting to it live on
That's right.
radio,
Hey,
here
my
we are.
parents did it, not me.
all right, gentlemen, it is that
Not
time.
me.
All right, yeah.
What time is it?
It is time to talk about Here
Game time.
with Tom.
No,
Hanks
it's not. You big liar.
by director Robert
Nope.
Zemeckis. It definitely
It's
is.
certainly not time to do that. We're going to talk about some Tom Hanks movies before
Yeah.
we talk about the
I'm
Tom
sorry.
Hanks
Yes, we
movies.
are.
In the spirit of Here,
I have that written down, too.
and one of its two leading roles, I think it's I think it's worthwhile for us to kind of talk about our top three Tom Hanks movies, not us as a group, us individually, and see kind of like if there's any commonalities. I'm sure there will be.
I listen. I'd be surprised if at least somebody does. We don't overlap here at all.
Yeah, exactly right. So this was this was kind of my plug, so I'll go first.
Sure,
But I don't think my movie watching repertoire goes back as far as your guys's, right?
okay.
I know I've seen Terminal. I know he's in it. I know it's a good movie, but I can't think of
really
a
like
single
Terminal.
scene from that movie. You know what I mean?
I don't really like
And
Terminal, so
Sleepless in Seattle, I know he's been a part of, and
that
he
was
has
a big deal.
he has
It
a couple
was.
good romance
big
flicks
deal.
as well. But like my favorite Tom Hanks movies are more recent of his works and more recent, still within like the last 20 years, I think. I think my top three, and this is in order, is
So wait, in order, reverse or forward? Like the one you
top-
say next will be your number one or your number three?
number one, number two, number three.
Okay.
So it's going to be Forrest Gump.
All right.
It's going to be Saving Private Ryan,
Ooh.
and it's going to be Green Mile. Or
Dang,
my
all right.
three. Those are my favorite Tom Hanks movies. Forrest Gump, for me, if I catch it at any point, if it's on network television, that movie stays on.
Sure.
I just watch the rest.
That
of
movie's long as shit too.
It
by
really
the way.
is.
Like
So
it's
there's
long.
a wide
long.
range of time you're committing to that, but like I can't, like, I turn it on no matter where it's at. I enjoy that film no matter where I see it from. Saving Private Ryan, you got to be kind of in the mood for that, but it's just
It's not one I'll just put on anytime
It's-
because, like, hey, it's 9:30 in the morning. Let's watch Saving Private Ryan.
in my
Well,
surround sound.
I just sip my cup of coffee. My kids running around. I don't know if that's
Saving
what
Private
we're
Ryan is
doing.
just such a good goddamn movie. It's one of the movies that I remember being at a young age and seeing it younger age and it affecting me
Sure.
in a way where I never got. That's the first movie I remember getting mad at. I got mad at that movie. I got mad at the stupid scene where the guy,
The runner?
the guy, where they're in,
Knife?
like they're fighting upstairs against the Germans.
Yeah,
Knife,
that's the
yeah.
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that actually made me physically mad. I never
Yep.
experienced that before.
No, no,
Bullshit.
I agree
Yep.
with you, Chris. I was also angry. You and I were probably angry
Yep.
at the same time without even knowing each other. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that made me mad, and I remember like it was the first time the movie affected me in that way. And then I'm sorry, Green Mile is just so good for so many reasons, and it's got kind of that a little bit of like sci-fi horror element that I really do dig. It's got some religious
Sure.
like religious fi elements into it that I really dig as well. So Green Mile's got to be on my list.
Green Mile's a great movie. So like, I think that's a great list. Honestly, I think
Yeah.
it's a great list. But I do want to point out two things that I think is hilarious about
Okay.
your list. Is so Saving Private Ryan and Green Mile have both spawned some legendary memes at this point.
Yep,
Like
true.
so Green Mile obviously is the I'm tired boss.
Yep.
But and
Someone
then
just sent me that. the other day.
and then in one of the most serious movies, most fucking intense movies of all time, one of my favorite gifs has come from where like Matt Damon massively ages so fast because like in the right context, you get that in text. You're like, Jesus,
Yep.
he's right.
Yep.
Somebody says something like, I'm so fucking old. And
Yeah.
it's just Matt Damon rapidly aging in front of you. Yes, that's all I had to say about your list.
No,
Awesome
I get
list.
it. Also, Tom Hanks in all three of mine plays a military or ex-military guy too, which is
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah,
so I
it's
guess
true.
whatever. So yeah, so that's my three. What about you, Roger? What are your top three?
So if we're going to me, so my number one is Castaway. I
Mhm.
love Castaway.
What?
That is a movie that I will always watch. That it's, when it's on TV, I love it. Like I think the idea of watching him in a movie where like 70% of this movie is him solitary,
Mhm.
just shows how great of an actor that he really is.
Yeah.
My number two is Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Obviously it's Forrest Gump, man. Like
Oh, yeah.
everybody loves it. And the other movie, so like I went deep into the well because I figured, there'd be some things. I figured Green Mile would make an appearance
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
I thought about putting Big in because like Big was like what really propelled Tom Hanks forward, instead of just like the goofy guy,
Mhm.
like doing a little bit more grown up stuff. But then like if you guys ever watch Philadelphia,
Oh
like
my
that's the movie that got him nominated for an Oscar for the first time. Like
Gotcha.
that movie was a big deal, and it's a tough movie to watch. Things have changed so very much since Philadelphia, but Philadelphia, you didn't know, it's a story about a gay man who gets infected with AIDS
Hmm.
and gets fired from his job basically for being gay. and like the lawsuit that he brings up against his company goes up like corporate ladder, and is a very it's not only is it like a drama, it's like a courtroom drama, and like it's a great movie. It's tough to watch, but it's a great movie. So like that movie always stands out as something like every time I watch it, I'm like, this is so good. And it's depressing. It's one of those things like when it makes you depressed and sad, and you're still like, wow, this is so good. Like when you connect with things emotionally.
Oh
like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
so that's my three. You know, not exactly the most fun
Well, you know,
fun way to end that list, but it really is an excellent movie. And but like Castaway is my thing, man. Like Wilson, little volleyball man hanging out. Like
listen, I respect the Castaway choice honestly, just because it is. If you, I bet if you asked 100 people like to name like top like 5 movies they know Tom Hanks is in, Castaway will be called out every single time
Sure.
by every single list maker. So there's just no way. I think it's just his icon, like one of his top iconic movies.
Yep.
What about you, Grayson?
Okay, I have no problem with either one of your lists. I mean, obviously those are excellent movies. But here's
here's why you're wrong.
no.
Let me tell you why
No,
you're wrong.
Here's
though.
some movies that won't make. I want you people to put this into perspective. Here are some movies that won't make any of our lists. Just hear me out for a second.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big, A League
Okay.
of Their Own.
Okay, excellent movie by the way.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Great movie.
Apollo 13.
Yeah,
Apollo 13,
you know,
yeah,
so
actually,
the Apollo 13 was the one that I just almost fucking was right there.
I almost wanted to include because I love sci-fi, but I was like, it isn't like in my top
Okay,
3.
No, I get it.
You've Got Mail, another very iconic
That's
Tom Hanks.
Rom-com.
No,
not really
yeah,
my
it's
thing.
no.
Like Toy Story. None of us.
Yeah,
no,
no.
not one of us.
I didn't consider Toy Story a
I-
Tom Hanks movie.
So yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's different when it's like a rom com because like it involves 2 leads in most cases every time you have a rom com. But like the animated movies, like because I was also looking at his like his top grossing films of all time,
Mhm.
and if you don't include if you include animated films, it's like Toy Story.
It's all 4
and
Toy
then
Stories.
The stuff he's in.
Yeah.
So like it's a different breed all.
Sure,
so
and
think when
I was just
include
going by
that.
movies he's in that people might love.
Sure.
No, 100%.
Good
No,
call
it's-
out because
yeah.
we hadn't talked
So
about that.
also
Sure.
on that
legitimate.
list, also not on any of our lists, but excellent movies. Catch Me If You Can, another multiple Oscar nomination movie. Like,
But he's not the main in that, right?
No.
That's more Leo's
no,
movie.
well,
Oh,
no,
I mean, listen.
it's
If
no.
Leo's the star, he's the co-star.
Okay, fair
So-
enough. Yeah,
the,
basically a rom com rule.
I think The Terminal is excellent, but it's not. It didn't make my list.
True.
Mhm.
Captain Phillips, another movie that was nominated for like 4 Academy Awards.
Fuck, I forgot about that
Captain
one.
Phillips is not a bad
I am the
ride.
captain
Yep.
now.
And
Another movie that has spawned
Quality
memes.
meme potential.
and I don't, and that's only because the Polar Express I don't consider great, but it's
No, listen. Here's the
very
thing.
nostalgic.
As an adult man
Yeah.
with kids that are the age that watch the Polar Express creeps me the fuck out. It's like the way that
didn't
they're
think you were going there with
those
that.
cold dead eyes. No,
Yeah, no.
I don't like it, man.
I didn't think you were going.
No,
like,
I don't
right
like
there,
it.
but all right.
So okay, so you guys' lists are great. I have beef with none of them, but my
So wait,
list-
so what are you picking?
So
Yeah.
The Green Mile to me is, I think,
Okay.
one of the greatest
Number 1.
achievements in the last 50
Okay.
years of film.
Excellent.
I have my
movie.
reasons for that.
Yeah.
Saving Mr. Banks is on my list. And
Okay.
and you may
Okay.
argue that that's more of an Emma Thompson film.
Ah,
But
Mm.
I think he has the scene with the most gravitas, the most reeling scene in that film belongs to Tom Hanks, and him as Walt
Gotcha.
Disney. I
Sure.
think is
That's fair.
and then another Roger's gonna get this. Chris, you may not, but Road to Perdition is super
No,
high.
sure.
I fucking love that movie.
my wife loves that movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Like,
loves Road to Perdition.
Can
It
you
seems like a
can
Hollywood
you think of a man with like more movies that are just such high quality? And any actor like in recent memory that like has so many films that are just so good. Can you think of?
I
Anybody?
can't believe nobody picked Bachelor Party
or the
or Joe versus the Volcano.
Joe versus
Burbs.
Volcano. I briefly thought about.
Yeah.
Joe versus the Volcano.
I don't. But that was a tough call. It's
I'm
funny.
actually
Go ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry, Grace. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm actually surprised that you didn't pick A Man Called Otto. So like I know that you like that movie. On like it resonates with you a little bit.
Yeah.
So like I'm surprised I didn't make your
But-
list.
It's one of those. It's still kind of recent to me.
Okay.
And while like this isn't like his best movies list, it's also like my favorite films, and like these are the ones I think have affected me over time.
Okay.
Ask me again in 10 years, and
It
A Man
might
Called Otto
swing out a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might be on there at that point. But I just think that one's just a little bit too recent for me to
I
like really
gotcha.
consider it that way. But that's a good call out, honestly.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that, Chris. Go
No,
ahead, buddy.
I was just, matter of fact, I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, I think I
Well-
do. So Chris sprung this on me because he had put it. So Roger saw it. I didn't see it. My bad. I didn't.
No, it was my bad because we
yeah.
didn't.
Well, so I thought, oh, this will be easy. I did it for a few minutes. Before I
It's
started
not
shooting,
fucking
And
easy.
then I started making
Yeah.
a list. I'm like, I started writing down movies that couldn't make the list, and by the
Yeah.
16th movie, I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out.
Well, like so
man.
I also have a list of this man's official primary movie credits.
Uh-huh.
He has 25 drama credits, 20 comedy credits, 10 romantic comedy credits, 8 thriller credits, 5 science fiction, 4 war, 7 biographical, 5 and this list goes on. He has been in so many movies.
Yep.
And is impactful in every one that he's in. He's one of those actors where like when he is involved in a project, like it's worth mentioning that he's there because he's just always been a part of solidly produced things.
Well, that's the thing. The phrase Tom Hanks movie draws attention.
It does.
No matter
it
what
does.
the movie ends up being. And like, look, we're going to talk about a movie that kind of ends up being something
Mhm.
here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But like, to have him, like, you know, what I was really excited about one of the more recent Tom Hanks movies was the Mr. Rogers, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, look, that movie's really, really good.
Mhm.
It won't make my favorites list, but like, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And it's about Mr. Rogers.
It's super well done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So good.
On IMDb, he has 99 credits right now.
No, that's what I mean. Like
One more, baby.
Jeez.
One more.
I can't like that. He's
Well, just remember too, like one of the other things too that he doesn't like isn't even a movie thing is like he's the driving force behind Band of Brothers.
Mhm.
Like that's one of his real achievements. So, like he got that to light. And it's like that's generally regarded as like one of the greatest limited series of all time. And like that's his baby.
Yeah.
Right off the fresh
Oh,
off
yeah.
the heels of Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I mean he's just
a
he's
powerhouse.
been doing this for so long and he's been doing it at such a high level for so long. We don't have a lot of actors we can point to
No.
of like that caliber, and it is worth mentioning.
I would love to have a beer with that dude.
Who wouldn't, man?
Jeez.
Who wouldn't?
Hmm.
All right, but
Sober
so
people.
who do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to compare lists here, but well,
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't either because one of these is great, the other ones are your guys's. So it is what it is.
good call out with Philadelphia though. Like that's a movie that a lot of
Hey.
people don't think
Yeah.
about, but that's a hell of a
Yeah, I
movie.
brought up, the multiple Oscar winner. Sorry.
mean,
Sorry,
yeah,
I
you're-
include that in my
Yeah.
list.
I mean,
Sorry.
you all said Castaway. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it fucking rules.
No, I'm with Chris. You also had Castaway.
Yeah, because it fucking rules.
But that was up for like awards too, wasn't it? If I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think
Yeah.
it won, but it was certainly.
I want you to know every movie I said had an Academy
Yeah.
Award nomination. By the way,
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well, so, I mean, when you're talking about Tom Hanks films, it's hard to,
Yeah,
it's hard
right,
to be
like-
away from those.
Fish in a barrel, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
go.
All right, gentlemen. Now it is time to talk about.
I
the
can't
most
believe nobody
recent-
said Toy Story though.
Well,
if anyone you were
I
going
was
to,
trying to
if
do it
anything-
Hanks.
Well, I didn't think about it. I just don't consider Tom
Listen,
Hanks movie. So
Listen, we weren't talking about Woody movies. We're talking about Tom Hanks movies.
fair.
fair.
But if anyone's going to do it, is you, Roger. So you're surprised
Why?
at your own because
because I'm awesome.
because that's your number one Pixar as well. So
No, it's not. Get out of here with that. Don't you ever put words in my Pixar mouth.
hold on, what was it then? It wasn't.
He ain't the star of fucking Wally.
Oh, that's
Got him.
That's right. That's it. That's fair. That's fair. My bad. All right. so
Just if anybody joining us, my favorite Pixar movie is Wally, and everybody else is wrong.
I thought for some reason I thought it was Toy Story, but it is well.
It's not. I mean, like,
Fair.
look, that's
We've literally-
a coward's choice.
We've literally talked at length about this on another show.
That's a coward's choice.
fair enough. All right, gentlemen. Let me correct my mistake from earlier. Now it is time
Yes,
There
sure
we
is.
go.
to talk about here, and actually making one of Chris's choices. Both you guys had Forrest Gump, even more of a pertinent choice because he shared the screen with someone he shares a screen with.
Yeah, he does.
Here. So, Robin Wright. Let's talk about it then, gentlemen, shall we?
Mhm. Yeah, let's talk about this movie. So first thing I want to say is I made a claim. I made 2 claims last week.
Okay.
One of those claims was that this movie would not make more money than Juror Number 2. I was dead wrong on that. I will admit that fully. But those were reasons.
So
outside my
Chris
control.
is copping to the facts. He did not because Juror Number 2 was pulled back to a limited release.
Exactly. But either way, I was wrong, so I will admit that. The other thing I did say though is that a Tom Hanks movie doesn't have as much pull as it used to. that people are just don't that phrase doesn't have the same effect it did 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
It just
Can
doesn't.
I say one thing in
Yeah.
direct opposition to that? I won't
You
say,
can.
but this is also not the movie that's going to compete with other Tom Hanks movies either. Because
I
people
don't agree
seeing
with
it
that.
Would be like, actually, it's one camera setup and you're watching one room in a house. So I
Yeah,
can
but
see how people may have been deterred.
Spoilers.
No, here's the thing. All of Tom Hanks's fans at this point are average age 65 and older. So this is kind of a movie for his demographic. At
I don't
this
know, man.
point.
I'm a Tom Hanks fan.
I get that. I said average. You know
No,
what I mean?
I agree, but
you're the one that makes that not 70 years.
Yeah, somebody's got to tip the scale down.
Fine. But let's do some particulars. Just real quick. All right. Of course, Tom Hanks is in this with. Oh my goodness! You ready for this? Robin Wright, Paul Bettany, Kelly Riley, Michelle Dockery, to name a few. Leslie Zemeckis is one of the younger kids. Just to name a few, but it's written and directed by Zemeckis, which I think is great because, of course, he's worked with Tom Hanks in previous as well. Was that Castaway, Roger?
Yeah,
and Polar Express, and probably another. Oh, and Forrest Gump, wasn't it? Who did Forrest Gump?
I don't know about Forrest Gump.
Who did Forrest Gump? How do I not know that? Yeah, but it's so. Let's talk about it then.
Well, hold on before we get into this.
Mhm.
We are going to do how we feel about this movie. We're going to pass fail this
right.
bad boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is
Yeah.
a lot of
So just so you guys know, we are going to do a mini countdown. We're going to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down on how we felt about this movie.
Yep.
And then we're going to have a spirited discussion to see if anybody's wrong.
Yeah, we'll
Because,
see.
Look, I don't feel like anybody's going to be different here.
No, I mean, we'll see.
Knowing you guys the way that I do here.
I
But,
might be
so-
different than you guys.
So I'll count us in. Just give your thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we'll go. Grayson, Roger, Chris in that order. Just say pass or fail. All right. So on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is where we're at. And then Grayson,
Pass, 100% pass.
Roger,
fail.
and
Epically.
I say fail on this one. Honestly, this is a thumbs down for me.
Nope, we'll talk about it.
Oh, we
Oh, yes,
should.
we will.
We should. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we will.
But just so I did, Forrest Gump is Robert Zemeckis, so there's a lot
Okay.
of common threads in a lot of these movies. So
So look, one thing I would implore Mr. Robert Zemeckis to do is go make another Back to the Future movie.
Okay.
Like now.
Damn.
So,
no, I don't think. Why
Yeah.
would you talk? Those are so good though. Well, minus the third
Yeah.
one, but why would you want to?
because I
Minus
the third one.
because you need one more.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so Grayson, you're positive on this movie.
I am.
Me and Roger are not feeling it as much as you are.
No.
So why don't you tell us why you think this is a good one?
Well, because I think it works in more places than it doesn't work. And I know one of you said a resounding fail. Which one of you was that?
I said
okay,
epically.
epically. So you obviously think it doesn't work. And I would agree with you on probably some of those points. However, on other of those points, for example, making a movie with literally one camera setup that just like the on-screen changes, but the camera doesn't. I think that's a great way to do it, and I also think it's an interesting way to tell a story. So I'm putting.
Sure.
So you guys might disagree with me, but I'm putting that in the pro column because we
Okay,
just
yeah.
don't see it often.
Okay, but okay, so I get it, but to that point, does that automatically make the movie like a should see, must see kind of deal?
Well, I don't
though?
think
Because-
Pass is a must see though. Are we rating Pass as must see? Because I don't think that's a must see.
kind of like where we would we would recommend someone go see it, like if they have the chance.
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
definitely
Okay,
go see
then
this film.
yes, I would say I think that is interesting enough to
Okay.
warrant your trip to the theater, the money,
Okay.
and the time. Yes.
So that's
Gotcha.
fair. So I will say one last bit about that because
Yeah, yeah.
that's going to be a focus here. I
Oh
think,
god,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
I think the idea of having like the stationary camera throughout the I think the idea is novel.
It's neat,
Okay,
right?
yeah, it's no, I didn't say that.
okay.
I didn't say that.
Alright.
I said it's novel. Like
Alright.
it's different.
Different than
We've
neat.
never really seen something like that before.
Mhm. in movie media.
On a big screen, big actors,
Mhm.
big actress, like the idea is there.
Yeah.
I don't think it works.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm not faulting the movie's execution on this part of the film, right? Like
Yeah.
they did this very well.
Sure.
They did a good job of making that part of it interesting when they could.
Well,
However, I don't think it was interesting enough to center an entire
film.
1.5 hour movie on is the problem.
Yeah.
It has effective storytelling at times through that avenue, but there's just enough of it to where eventually it feels more taxing on what the story could be telling
Yep.
than so much of what it's providing from like its unique niche or its gimmick. It does feel like a gimmick at that point too. Like after a certain bit of time, it's kind of like, okay, now what are they going to do with it?
Well,
Because like you're thinking more about that than you are the characters and the connection.
I have one small caveat to that. So when you say niche, I don't take the camera being stationary as niche. You know what I thought was the niche part about that?
What?
When they're boxing in the other frames.
Okay.
So that's what I considered more problematic
Okay.
here.
So you didn't like it when they were doing that?
No.
Okay.
But so there's a couple of times that they do it in this movie
Mhm.
that it's interesting.
Okay.
And then they do it 1,000 more times
Yeah.
and it loses all the appeal to me.
Mhm.
Like at first I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like at the beginning where like you see like the rapid,
Yeah.
you know, like the rewind basically.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was
That
kind
was
of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
And then, you know, like 99 more minutes of it, and I'm just like, I don't really give a shit anymore.
Gotcha. So Grayson, you didn't find it kind of like, you didn't think that part of the film overstayed its welcome to you? You like that stayed fresh all the way through for you?
I don't think it did, only because it also it also allows for a different kind of storytelling in which like you can interject immediately with another segment from another thing that relates
Sure.
to what they're going through then. And I think
Okay.
they were all well chosen. I may have tried to cut out some of them like completely, but I mean I'm
Yeah.
not the creative one here. But as they were in there, I don't think any of them were egregious, except for
think-
them trying to link pandemic to pandemic may have been a bit too far.
Well,
I mean,
that's one of
that's
the
real
things-
life though.
that's
Listen,
one
I
of
spent a shitload of time in my single room in my house
Sure, but
during the pandemic,
the
so at least
one-
I could see that.
But the one thing I'm talking about with COVID is when the COVID family is the one family that doesn't connect any other way.
well, they're like the
I mean,
most
they
recent
lived
owners
in
of
the
the
house, yeah.
home is I think
Sure.
the story with them,
Sure,
which
and
is
that-
fine.
yeah.
And I understand what you're getting at, Grayson. I think that I agree that there's times where the whole like the backwards framing almost feels forced, and I think it might have been for time for one of them. Like, let me ask you this: if you feel like this movie, even in its short runtime, it feels a little bit too long. There's a complete person of the past history of the home you could remove it. It doesn't affect the movie or like the relations at all. The Barkin, the lazy boy guy,
Mhm.
like he means nothing to the story. He has no connection to any of the characters. He's just there.
You know what though? That dude's fucking awesome. That dude's living the dream. That dude invented the lazy boy and just banged his
Well,
wife
no,
all day.
because,
Like
you know-
that dude is living the greatest
Well, no,
life.
But you know why I think he has to be there, Chris, is
Why?
all the other families experienced great tragedy and they didn't. So there has to be the offset. Why are you
I mean-
laughing?
So like,
I mean, he's living.
Like, look, what you said is 100% correct. Like,
Yeah.
they don't face any tragedy. And I'm just thinking, like, he's up on a step stool, like snapping nudes of his wife with like the old timey camera, and I'm like, this dude's fucking killing it, bro.
That dude
He's
is living
killing
the
it.
life, right?
But like he's
Yeah.
the
Killing
one
it.
like success story. I mean, even though like
Yeah.
this is a movie about life and the different snapshots in time in one place, different families
Yeah.
occupy. Like I get that.
I
Like,
loved it.
I mean, maybe, but I
be
mean,
tough
but
to
you
take
just
away.
didn't. You just didn't need it though. Like
No,
it-
listen, is he relevant to any real story? No, but I think the movie, like, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of this movie. I think, obviously, when I gave it
Yeah.
a fail, you know, I laid that out. But, like, I think without it, I hate this movie even more. Because, like, at least I
Fair
thought that
enough,
dude was
yeah.
cool.
I get it. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, but
You
I
wanna-
don't know.
You want to know the character that I didn't understand? What's up with Airplane Man? What's the deal with that? Like, they purposely buy this house
Mhm.
that's near an airport, or
Yep.
like an aerodrome. This is supposed to be how old this is. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
early 1900s, right?
Mhm.
Or like 1915 or so.
Well, 1920.
So
that's
like
when the
so
when the
he- yeah,
pandemic
so he can like fly, right? And like then he just picks a fight with his wife for like the next 4 scenes that we see with him about how he shouldn't fly the airplane. Like, why did you buy this house?
yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, but it's
And like he's got the old timey flyers cap. I hated him.
but it's
I hated him
but
so much.
it's about big decisions that that reverberate through the ages almost. Like that's kind of what one of the sub themes about this is, and that was a big decision to fly a fucking airplane. I mean, the twist comes later when you realize he didn't die from the airplane; he died from something else. But
Yeah.
The Spanish flu.
Yeah.
the 100, like, AMC
Yeah,
celebrating
Spanish
100
flu.
years, yeah, of course. But
Mhm.
it's weird. I don't. Maybe it's just. I wonder what. I would love to talk to the writers and or Zemeckis and why did you feel this was necessary? That's what I'm interested in. It's like,
Why? What was necessary?
why? For instance, for me, it's the COVID family. For one of you guys, it's the Lazy Boy family, and for Roger, it's the fucking flying guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Okay. That's fair.
I mean, so we all dislike a certain.
We all have a
different
certain
family.
family that
Well,
we don't feel is
so
necessary to
here's the thing.
story.
I think if there was a set of people that we are supposed to agree on that we care about, is the main family that we focus on.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Where we start with Paul Bettany and his wife, and then we move. It segues directly into Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, with their part because they are the most linear connected family because one family lives.
I like that you said linear because here's something else that kind of threw me off, and I don't mean to interrupt your
No,
current
you're
point,
good.
but like the whole linear thing, they're the only part of this that is a linear story,
Mhm.
and then everything else is like very jumpy, whether it's past like way back or kind of back, and then jumps forward a little bit. But like they're the ones that are a straightforward through line. I'd almost be interested to see if they like let that shuffle around too, like give us different pieces of of their lives, different pieces of their story in out of order in like a cohesive way that like kind of like builds a little more suspense, because I feel like I knew exactly where this movie was going most of the time, right? Like you can see things coming because of the way they're kind of pigeonholed into certain scenes being set up for different effects, different moods, and different emotions. And like it plays out just exactly as you do. There are no surprises in this film, so it's like
No, not really.
maybe if they jumped around some, even with them, it would have like it would have been a little more interesting. But then I think it just feels like a jumbled mess the whole time. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. Again, I apologize for
No, you're
interrupting.
good. So that makes me go off think of a different direction. So like they talk about this house has been there since the 1800s or whatever, because that's when it was built.
Yep.
Directly across from what Ben Franklin's dad's house.
Yeah.
Right. That's what the story that they're weaving in here,
Mhm.
Which is also weird to see a little bit of Ben Franklin time there.
Hey, listen, man, you might as well throw him in too on this, right?
I mean, like, look, we went back to watching the dinosaurs get knocked out by a comet. So
Also, I don't think that happened there, but it's cool.
No.
I mean, like, it's an approximation.
I know what you're talking,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, that comet that hit, that would have had for like 10,000 miles would have had little bits raining down. So
Yeah, true.
I mean, yeah, it was the world ender. Is what
Yeah.
it was. That's all.
We're sciencey. It's fine.
But like, so many things would have died in that space.
Oh, yeah.
so many.
Yeah.
And we only get to see a couple people, which is weird.
Well,
But see, the
is
thing
what
is,
it
like,
is.
I like that. I know a lot of people probably don't like that, but like, I like the, pretty much from the dawn of anything to dinosaurs to the Native Americans to like the colonial period. Like, I like that. But again, like the colonial period for me was one of those, like, I was waiting for something. I was waiting for some
be over.
resounding like reason it was in there. Like,
but it
some
wasn't, right? It
fucking
was
reason.
just kind of there.
Well,
So
it was
another
land.
funny thing that I
Yeah.
thought about the colonial time is, remember when that house caught on fire next
Yeah.
to the colonial? It just all of a sudden, like, it just focuses in the screen and just goes, and it just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I love the fire department shows up and you're like, what's even the point, dude? Like, that thing is smoked.
Yep.
And then people just come out to watch it burn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
I
mean, like,
mean,
look, that's
yeah.
still happening in 2024.
Yeah, it
I
still
will stand there and watch somebody else's life be ruined as their house burns.
Jesus,
God
my
damn.
goodness,
Hey.
man.
I am not the only person in this room or on this video call that would do that.
You are not, sir. You are definitely not.
Exact. Thank you. I accept your
Yeah.
You're
apology.
definitely not. But
Accept your
I can still
apology.
say it's wrong, but I'll still do it. But but
No,
Well.
hey, fair. No arguments there.
so I mean, I think part of this is, and I really do, and I know every time I bring this up, I think Chris is the one that has like real problems with this. But like, I think what they're trying to do, I think they had this script, and then when he saw who he was going to cast, he's like, you know what,
Mhm.
I need to invoke Forrest Gump vibes because that movie
No.
is. I really do
No.
think that you're meant to
So
pulling at
I
those
think
nostalgic strings because you
I
love
disagree-
Forrest Gump so much.
I disagree with you for two reasons.
Okay.
One reason is because I just think that if you're basing off of a house from X year, the chances of you of finding someone who bought this that was either in a war or fought in or like has family from the war is so high, it's insane.
Well, hold on, but
Easy,
hold
yeah.
on. Isn't he going through the same? Don't the characters, the respective characters, Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, like, don't they go through the same kind of? They're kind of happy for a while, then don't they go through the same kind of cycle?
No, I don't think so.
My point is, I think the script may have been tailored once he knew who he was going to cast, like,
Well,
because it almost would had to be, right? Like, I just
my
believe it.
second point is this is not a unique idea. This is based off of a graphic novel.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure, and I
So, I
didn't know
mean-
that, but I can definitely see
Yeah.
why that would be a thing.
How much of this is actually panel work straight from the source material that they brought into life media wise? Like I haven't read this, so I don't know. But like, I wouldn't be surprised to open this book up and find that the family was
Overlapping similarity.
Yeah, like there's probably a lot taken from the source material, and the challenge was bringing it to the actual like movie media version of it. So I don't know, like, and that's once I learned that. The movie lost a little more appeal to me at that point too.
Sure.
And it was because I was like, it was no longer even its own idea. Now it's just, this is this isn't even like a specific vision from this director. This is this is really cool. I want to turn this into a film.
Well,
Yeah.
But what makes it Zemeckis is Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and that's what makes it Zemeckis, and maybe the emotion, because Zemeckis is kind of his thing too. Not like
Can I argue something else that makes it Zemeckis?
Sure.
Terrible CGI.
Got him.
Well, I did.
Terrible CGI.
Well, at times I thought it was great, and then at times I thought it was
Well,
horrible.
So let's so my biggest problem with this movie, besides the story's pretty soft, is like the de-aging thing, man. Like,
Although this is the best I've seen de-aging
Well,
in
while
movies right
it
now.
may be better, it's still
It's still
not
bad.
good.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, like, look, is this the worst I've ever seen? Absolutely not. But like, it's pretty jarring.
No, this
at some
is
points.
This is the best de-aging I've seen.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
still
it doesn't
Hold
mean it isn't awful.
I want to say
100%.
I agree with Chris. I 100% agree with Chris. It's the best we've seen, and that's including like The Irishman and whatever else has been doing,
which
it.
is awful.
But it's like, there were times when I was looking at young Tom Hanks, like, son of a bitch, that is young Tom Hanks. Like, they pulled him straight out of 1987. But it's
So
then other times I'm
when
like-
he's away from the camera,
It works.
it works.
everything works when
But,
they're
like-
away from the camera.
Well, that's the thing,
yeah.
right? But like when he's up close, like during a couple of the scenes where like early on, where like he's trying to introduce her to his mom.
Yeah, that was
Hey,
weird.
dude, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's like he looks like you can. He's like old man from the chin down.
Well, she
Yeah.
hold on, but she was too, and that's I think it was,
Sure.
Yeah,
I think it was more egregious with her.
Yeah,
but-
look, like
yeah.
this is not me knocking either one of the two actors. Like the technology is just not that great. While
Yeah.
this is better than some, it's got a ways to go. But my thing is like, why are we doing that? Like, can't we just get a younger actor?
Well, can I
to be
to-
Tom
to
Hanks.
play
a little
that?
Can I
bit.
just
Yeah.
say one thing is why
Sure.
why wouldn't you just get? I understand because it's Tom fucking Hanks. You could have gotten Colin Hanks to do it, and then because
that's true.
because the
he does look exactly like
because the
him.
girl that they used as the daughter also looks like a very young Robin Wright. So like, why couldn't you just have
Yeah.
those two play the younger characters?
Mhm.
and
Have them grown up. I mean, because like, look, say if you during high school you have like Colin and the other lady, right?
Mhm.
And then like when they find out that she's pregnant, then you start to morph them into the other people. Like
slowly even
you
yeah
could have pulled that off.
I think
Yeah.
so it would have been, but
It's
you got Tom Hanks, you got to use him.
it's just jarring. It's
Budget for this film is production was $45 million, is what it says.
okay.
So
Seems like
I'm not
so
surprised
much.
by that.
It seems
Well, here's the thing.
I am
that,
surprised by that.
That de-aging thing is really expensive.
Mm.
Like really, really expensive.
Yeah, that's a lot of CGI work for whoever's helping smoothing all that
Yeah.
out too. So
Tons of mocap work.
Mhm.
Tons and tons of it.
yeah, but like $45 million for this for being a single stationary camera, that is kind of surprising in a way. But like I don't know, I hear $45 million, I'm not like super shocked, but I'm not. But like I can find reasons in my
Well,
head why
they
it would be, too.
de-aged Paul Bettany too, right?
Yes,
I'll bet you-
of course, Al.
I don't know. His might be makeup.
No,
I didn't
no,
notice
no,
makeup.
no.
Okay.
well,
hold on. That's
It,
Paul Bettany was.
it could be, but I don't think so.
Hold on,
Okay.
guys, hold
Because
on.
like here's the thing, like Paul Bettany, while he's not that old, doesn't look young anymore.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I get you.
but neither does Kelly Riley. You know what I mean? Like
no.
they
Sure.
both of them they were
Dang.
when they first came on screen. I was like, is that fucking Paul Bettany and they're trying to make him look like
Shots
he's,
fired by Grayson.
no, but
all these actors.
because I know he's not that. He's like 60 or something. He's like late 50s, early 60s. Like he's not.
No, Paul Bettany's not that old.
Hold
is
on,
he?
fine. He's in his 50s.
I
He's
got him.
got to be in his
Yeah,
50s.
he's 50s. Yeah.
He's 53.
So okay, so hear me out. Like when I first saw them,
Look at this terrible Getty images of him. It's a
all right, so
horrible
guys,
picture.
hear me out here. So when I first saw
Yeah.
them on screen, I'm like, that they look like them and they sound like them, and I saw their name in the credits or on the poster, but that can't be them because that's not. Why would you try to de-age someone who's 55 and to look like they're 25? It
Yeah.
just doesn't. I will never agree with that in film. And look,
Yeah.
until the technology gets there, which it obviously isn't, I will never agree with that in film ever.
Yeah. So like let's talk about the actual like effectiveness of the story then, right?
Okay.
I think that this movie, one of the reasons why I don't like this movie as much as someone who would recommend it is the fact that I don't while the story is nice, quote unquote, the story's like it's a predictable story all the way through. I'm not surprised about anything that happens in this film, and I don't feel like I got to connect to the people that I'm supposed to really care about, because what this kind of movie with like this whole single camera thing, you don't get the effectiveness of the close-up shot to where like you feel connection with a character and their current emotions. We
Okay.
get like a couple times where they try to cheat it in by like someone's walking up into that dining room area and they stand there awkwardly for a second.
Looking off into oblivion.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like as they stare into the void,
Cold,
like
dead eyes.
it happens a couple times in this film for about half of our cast, but like because you don't get those in those heated moments where there's like back and forth, there's a passionate argument,
Sure.
there's a disagreement, there's a very like close like lovey-dovey moment. We don't get the close-up shot, and I do think as someone who doesn't really value, like I haven't valued that in like probably as much as like you guys do, but like it's definitely missing here, and I think
Sure.
that might be a part of like the failure to connect to these characters. Now, to the situations they're in, I can connect with those. Those are like life situations that most people have or will deal with at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it be from their,
or if they haven't dealt with it that aren't too far away from
yeah,
their periphery.
like either as a kid you dealt with it from the kid perspective, or the parent, and the the working family perspective, or from the older perspective that like you might be at. Like I can see you connect with the situation, but that's different than connecting with like a person.
Yeah.
Playing out the character on screen. I think this movie lacks that.
Well, can we talk about one character that we have that is a major part of this that just disappears at one point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about the daughter.
Yeah.
Like she goes to college
Mhm.
and then never ever comes back.
We never see her again.
Not once.
Well, do we need to?
Actually,
Well, so here's the thing. So like they do multiple holidays after that.
yeah.
And she's never there.
Well, that might be playing out the whole, yeah, when you get older, like your parent, like you lose that connection with your parents kind of
Sure.
deal. Like it might be showing that perspective again because Tom Hanks's audience is 85 and up. But like it's that's going to connect with that part of the audience though, right?
Sure. Well, maybe, but like, so think about it though. After dad breaks his hip and moves in with him,
Mhm.
like she moves out, daughter never comes back to say, "Hey, dad, how you doing?"
Mhm.
Check on grandpa. Not one time.
Yeah.
We don't get like a 30-second scene where like, "All right, guys, it was good
Yeah.
to see you. I got to get back."
in and walking out or
Yeah.
something. It would be easy to do in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Yes,
It would be
absolutely,
very easy to pull off.
absolutely, and not once.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think that this is strange to me.
As a dad, you're offended.
I mean, yeah, kind
Well,
of.
no,
but-
because it doesn't. But the story shifts to. I mean, it is the story. The heart of the story is the couple. That's the heart of the
Mhm.
story,
Sure.
though, and everything else like
Yes.
bookending it. But that's like I can understand why they would have. I don't agree with the choice, but I can understand why they made it. That's what I'll say.
Well, it's just so
Sure.
weird that
Well,
'cause
that's fair.
was like we don't even see her go off to college. The last time we see her is when Grandma's going to the home.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Bye, grandma.
pretty
or,
sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
when she's waving off the car. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the last time we actually see her on screen.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't even see her, or do we see her in the Thanksgiving dinner that that Bettany is crying about Rose passing?
I don't think so.
I don't
Because
think
they
she's
say
there.
that she's not there.
don't think
so
I'm
either.
pretty sure they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last time we see her is
This is
when
my first holiday without my rose. Sounds fucking horrible.
it was pretty cliche that moment. Don't get me wrong, and like that
so
breakdown.
sad.
And that breakdown you're going to see, but that part still hurts. You know
Sure.
what I
Of course
mean?
it does.
You know,
Yeah,
if-
it's meant to. That's the
Okay,
Yeah.
I have an unintentionally funny moment.
Oh, here we
Wait,
go.
is this
How
is
about
this
when-
the towels?
This is a dangerous segue.
No, well, it's when she comes back during the snowstorm when they find Rosie, and
Mhm.
she's just sprawled out on the floor, and like she like walks in and does like the comical like double take, like oh, it's
Okay, hold on. I have a comment about that
okay.
because this movie at times feels like a Broadway play, a stage
Okay,
play.
of
sure.
course.
And that kind of acting would be akin to stage acting,
In line
wouldn't
with
it?
that, sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
very
can see
emotive,
that.
very very like like you need the actor that's on stage to show you what's happening almost in a
Yep.
way. So like, and I say that because I didn't see Mom until she reacted.
Yeah, I noticed her laying like behind the thing.
See,
there.
I didn't. I just saw the tree messed up, and I was like, dang, did the storm mess up the inside of the house too somehow? I didn't
Yep.
I didn't make that connection because I couldn't note. I didn't notice the character. That
Just
mom
out
that
cold.
Rose was lying down until she was very emotive and very eye rolly,
Wah.
overacty in a way. But it feels like a stage play at times. And again, I said this about another movie we've talked about recently, is that Hollywood thinks stage plays and Broadway plays are a great idea and everybody loves them until they put them out there and then they don't. So I don't know. It's just it doesn't hit with the average audience member as well as they think it does. And I think that's another problem with this film. It feels very stagey at some points. Very
So-
stage play.
Let's talk about audience members for a second.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I said before we started talking about this that I had a unique experience
Okay.
with this.
Gotcha.
So I went to see this at our local theater, and I had a choice to make. I could go to the 650 or the 635.
Okay.
Okay, the 635 was a special showing called OCAP. Do you know what OCAP is?
Tell me what
No.
OCAP is.
OCAP is on-screen subtitles.
Oh, yeah.
nice.
So here's the thing: I'm used to subtitles. I watch
Yeah.
a lot of anime. Doesn't bother me. And
Uh-huh,
actually,
uh-huh.
I actually kind of dug the experience watching a full movie like on a big
Okay.
screen like that. I was the only person in my movie theater at a 635 showing
You were the only one.
on a Saturday night,
Huh.
Well,
all by
But
myself.
people may have avoided that because they knew what that meant and they didn't want that. I mean, I'm just
Sure,
saying.
well, that's the thing. That's why it
Well,
was
hold
a
on.
unique experience.
OCAP in our area should be super freaking popular because
Well-
my showing, I had like 40 people in my showing, and
Were you the youngest
the
person?
next oldest person after me, because I was the youngest, was definitely like mid 60s.
Oof.
It smelled like an old person's home.
Smell real crazy in
It
there.
did. It had a
Smell real
unique
crazy
It
in
had
there.
a unique odor.
My goodness,
It
man.
was
Jeez
the
Louise.
it was the sense of those dying and those who've already passed on. So
Souls.
it was just
This is
like
what a soul smells
there
like.
were a ton of stop.
My goodness, come on, man.
He broke me.
Yes,
the,
good.
There was about 40 people in there, 35 to 40, and I was the youngest person in there in attendance, and the movie connects, I think, more to an older audience.
It definitely does.
Because again, like I feel like that's mainly Tom Hanks' draw at this point. Which no shade to Tom Hanks, he's also an older actor at this point. He knows
is.
his wheelhouse, right?
Yep, sure.
It was the same thing in A Man Called Otto when I saw it. Like it was me. I was the youngest guy in that theater too, but like the jokes hit, people laughed. There were comments at certain points when it was another holiday where the daughter didn't come home and he was talking about it, about how she told him that she was gonna go like to the in-laws house and like they wouldn't hear anything of it. I heard a few people they chuckled and said, "Yep," they understood. So there is an audience connection somewhere in here. I just don't think it's with your average movie-going audience.
It's
something.
It would be connecting with people old enough to experience that because that's what kids do. Is when they leave the nest, they tend not to do
Yeah,
that.
but okay, you say that, and I get that, but like I'm not that age yet, and I understand, and I can connect with that too from my perspective, though, right? Like I know why they're doing that. I know it must affect a parent,
Sure,
when they get to a certain point in their kids' lives, and all of a sudden, like they do stop coming around more and more. Like that's not something that is lost on me, but maybe that's because I'm a parent too, and I know eventually I'm going to go through that.
Sure.
I don't know where that realization began for me as well, but I do think that you can relate to that feeling because maybe you're like one of the kids that kind of sphered away from seeing your parents as much as you could. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As you could be. So like maybe you connect that way too. It shouldn't be lost on everyone, but like my crowd definitely connected with this movie. Like there were comments, laughs, chuckles, all that kind of stuff. But
I can with good factual evidence say that it didn't connect with my crowd.
no. Can't believe you're the only guy in the Saturday.
I was
Just me, buddy.
That's
my
crazy.
theater was
So like, look, I've been
sold
to
out.
many empty theaters throughout the time of podcasting about
Mhm.
movies.
I think we have, especially after COVID times.
Yeah, so like it's definitely happened a few times. This was the first time in a Saturday evening showing that it was just me.
Saturday is almost guaranteed
Well,
no
see,
shot.
that's
You're by
the-
yourself, right?
This weekend may have been a weird thing because like all the Halloween parties would have been going
True,
on.
that's
sure.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
The other thing is too is like we didn't talk about this. Did you guys check any reviews or anything like this? Because like, do you know what the Rotten Tomatoes for this is?
I
probably
don't know.
low, like
It's low. It's a 35.
I'm not surprised.
The audience scores only a 50 or 57.
I'm not shocked
So,
by
no,
this,
but
though.
I know why.
After
they
watching the
overstar.
movie, I'm not. Well, I mean, like, there's legitimate criticisms here.
Yeah.
Like the real issue that I have, right? It's like this movie's not very long, but there's some times where it really drags to me.
Mhm.
I don't. Did you guys feel that too, or
course.
is that just
It has moments. Yeah.
like? And the unnecessary things is like we're just coming off a scene that is like semi emotional or at least relevant to like our through line story. Then we bounce back to be like the girl's just playing the violin after her dad died.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of feels out of place sometimes.
Mhm.
And I mean, I get what they're trying to do because it's supposed to be like a sad, mournful time of the movie, but it just seems out of place and doesn't really work for me.
Yeah. I almost wish the movie would have been completely linear in its timing. From like prehistoric all the way through.
You wish
Like,
this movie was 4.7 billion years old.
let
long?
us see all these micro lives play through in like a fast way, right? Like give us like 10 minutes with this family, and then let us hit the family that we're going to be with for the majority of the movie,
So
and have it jump through their lives.
okay. So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Would you? And this is for you too, Grayson, because now I just kind of got an idea. Instead of seeing them like skip through time and pick out pieces, would you have rather had it seen like somebody hit a fast forward button and like a bunch of
You
things
see a whole
happen,
bunch
like,
of stuff.
and then all of a sudden you slow down for like a really impactful scene and something happens.
Yeah.
That scene goes,
I
and
think-
then you speed ahead again until something like you stop for like 30 seconds, see something else, and then
I think that'd be really cool because you could almost in a way, if you ever like got a hold of this like Blu-ray or other means,
you
we don't
could
support any of
slow
those.
it down. Yeah.
You could slow it down and see a whole lot more movie.
like, oh my god, that was 3 murders.
Things are like hidden in
well,
the
but
frames
also,
and stuff.
they'd have to like shoot it. They'd have to
That's what I was going to get at, Grayson. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Like they'd have to shoot all that
Or
film,
shoot something.
and now the budget goes from 45 million to 68 million
Sure,
or something.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
or they could
but
or
no,
they could
I
sub,
would like
or
that.
they could sub out like that could be the B unit where like when the A unit goes home, the B unit then they just exist for 8 hours in filming because that's what they do is exist, and then
yeah,
because then you could sub out anyway because it's fast forward, no one's gonna be able to tell who it is anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's not,
Yep.
not a bad
Cares.
idea, but you'd have
Yeah,
to
that'd be
shoot-
cool. I'd be okay
that
with
would
that.
double the
I
budget though.
I guarantee you,
it would be
I'm
more
go-
expensive.
I'm gonna be able to find a Reddit supercut of this where someone takes this and puts it in actual timeline order. I'm gonna be able to find that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Here's my
and I'll get
question.
to experience it that way.
Here's my question that I don't, and this is like this may go against my.
So what AI is made for, buddy?
This is my question that may go against like my past. I do think everyone should watch this because it's a different kind of
Okay.
movie. But
Okay.
why
It is different,
I don't
yeah.
understand. Here's the major question I'd have for Zemeckis and whoever was making the editing choices is why did all of them not have like if the vignettes are there, I expect them all to have some kind of culmination and like reason why they're there. But like the colonial stuff, I don't think had a reason to be like there was no like sad moment in the colonial stuff, was there? Remember the time when like the kid threw the apple at the dude? Like I'm talking about that like
Smashes him in the back of the
like, I'm
head.
talking about
Yeah.
that like time period and like we didn't like even for the Native Americans definitely had it. The dinosaurs, well, they all died, so they had that too. But like the colonials, they didn't.
Womp womp.
But the colonials, they didn't really have it. And then like I know that, and then the
The lazy boy guy had no actual connection.
well, no, but like he was the one success story. He went to California, like he was the one guy that like wasn't a tragedy. But that's the thing is like I would have if they were there, I would have wanted them to
Out there
have
living his best life,
I
brother.
would have wanted them to have some
Killing
kind
it.
of reason to be in it. I guess that's my thing is like I'm still kind
Well,
of dumbfounded
maybe
at that.
maybe it's just not clear why, but at the same time, I don't know how much of that is the source material versus
Sure,
like what
and
they chose to put
I
in.
totally understand that.
So,
Yeah, but it's
so I'd be interested to like if anybody like has read the original novel and then like
Yeah, that's the
has
thing. I'll
seen
have
the
to
movie.
check out, see if I can find it
Yeah,
at a library or
it'd be
through
interesting to
through
actually see like how
Comixology
much
or
of
something
this
like
was
that.
actually like that like what they did for the movie and how much of it is just straight taken from the pages, because we could be bashing a novel at the same time that we're bashing this movie if a lot of it's just pulled straight from
sure,
it.
That's
and I
true.
bet you a lot of it was shot, but like
So wait, is this going to become a book review podcast? Because like,
no,
look,
no,
brother,
no.
I got stuff to say.
If they shot it, then like if you cut the scene where like it brings it to a point where like, oh, that's why it's in there, then you pretty much have to cut the whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
because if
Yeah.
you cut the one, like that's what I don't understand is why they did it. But even like the COVID, let's just call it the COVID family. Like I still don't understand why the COVID, without to link, you know, um, pandemic to pandemic. There's no other reason for that. It's just more tragedy.
Well, I mean,
100-year run.
there's one point where like there's a certain like issue and problems that like are happening that was very common back in like like the 80s and stuff, the 90s for families back then. And then there was the current owners going like talking to their son about a very modern problem, right? So like
Yes.
they did draw other lines besides the COVID. I don't know how many. I know the whole like this is like an everyday problem for us back then. This is a modern problem for modern families now. Like I do know that like they drew that line at least. So other than that though, I agree with you, Grayson. There are it's difficult to pinpoint where the connections are. And I think they should have done have done a better job of highlighting those for like the average audience member, because like from my perspective I couldn't find the linkage to everything, like why this family's here,
Sure.
why it's relevant in this point,
Cool.
why it's relevant later
So,
on. Like I had a problem
I
with
will
that.
go one step further though. Is like on the other side though, like when they brought the emotion, I really felt it. I really felt like
Okay.
the family's grieving, and especially when one of the scene that got me, besides the scene that made me laugh hysterically, and I was the only one out of like 100 people that was laughing hysterically, was when she went into labor and the kid he's like, "Here's some towels," and threw it at her, and then he's like, and then he started to dial the phone and she's screaming. He turns around, and he's like, "Jesus Christ, stop yelling!"
Yeah, when the kid yelled Jesus
Yeah.
Christ and ran off screen, I did laugh
I
at
thought that was funny. But also two other things
Yeah.
is when, for instance, when Al stands up and he's like, "I'm coming, Rose," like, you know how like old people have that thing where right before they pass, kind of like
Yeah.
animals tend to go away and like away from their humans to die alone, but like people have that thing where like they start talking to people that have been dead for years and decades and like,
Yep.
I'm coming, like that really got to me, but only because like
Sure.
I've known people that very recently, my friends have lost a parent, and it's not an easy thing to go through. And
Oh,
like,
no.
like everyone goes through it. I mean, if it's pertinent in your life or not, you have to go through it because you were born. And
Yeah, it's part of life.
it's like that
you
really
know.
got to me. It's like the emotion really got to me.
So the one thing that I am semi surprised about with this movie in general when it comes to death,
Mhm.
you do see some of it here. Obviously, I'm surprised we don't see more of it, because like there are people that are just unaccounted for in time.
Yeah.
That but like I think that that's something, because like you knew eventually something like I was telling me, like by the quarter point of the movie, I was like, somebody's going to die in this house. Like you know that that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect there to be a wedding in the house,
True.
like something like that. But I definitely
I
expect
didn't
somebody
expect to see any shadowy love making either, though. We
That's
got
true.
that
That's
too.
true.
So here's the thing. That's something I wasn't overly surprised by, and I
Mhm.
don't mean that to be funny, because like, look, people have sex in their living room. Like,
Yeah.
it happens
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah.
So also, these people never ever shut their fucking curtains.
No,
Ever. Which is definitely why the shadowy love making. I mean, look, now I have jokes.
Yeah, I do. I love so much of this movie, though. That's the thing. Is like this movie speaks to me as someone who loves film and wants to be a filmmaker. Like it speaks to me in that way, and it's maybe I'm artificially, but like I still stand by my pass.
No,
Well, and that's
it's okay
fine.
to give it a pass.
Yeah, that's fine. The thing that strikes me about it is like the reason why you're giving it a pass is actually interestingly is like a reason why one of my big negatives on it. It's like the movie feels very gimmicky after a short time, and maybe that's because the rest of the machine around it isn't as
Sure.
polished or as good as it could be, you know, or whatever, or maybe it's limited by its scope and it can't help that. They tried and like here it is, but like, you know, I felt like the still frame shot that never moves did get stale at some point,
Well,
right?
okay,
That's
that's what I
it's
wanted
there.
to ask is like, so when we start to see what's behind us, where we've been
Mhm.
sitting,
Okay,
for an
that was
hour,
that was
so
interesting.
when they move the mirror and you can see a little bit, and then when they
It's just
turn
an empty fucking
and then when they
dining room.
turn the camera around, I want to just like even the placement of the table in their own universe, like it doesn't make any. Why would you put the table there and not in the fucking dining room where you have way more room where you could have leave way more stuff? Why was the table there and why was it as an angle? Like it doesn't make sense.
Because then your movie doesn't
sure,
happen,
sure.
dog.
What
Like,
well, no, the real question is what monster carpeted that dining room?
oh yeah, true.
Jesus Christ.
but I mean,
Fucking beautiful hardwood all
you
over the
never-
place.
but, like,
no.
I think Chris, you get what I'm saying.
No.
It's like the
Yeah.
table placement makes absolutely zero sense. Once you see what's
It
behind
does.
the camera, it doesn't make any sense. Like zero. They have a massive room there. You can tell me they can't all just
Yeah.
eat in the one room.
Mhm.
I
What would have happened?
That's where the food is though.
What would have happened if any of these people that own this house decided that a reverse living room would have been way better? Like where like the couch and sofa was like on the other side. Like
yeah.
like all of a sudden the movie doesn't work.
Of course, yeah.
A
I
single
also think
family
about it a
at
lot
time.
too, how like the TV, like you watch the TV grow throughout the years. You know,
Yeah.
you get to like the little cube and then
Mhm.
the slightly bigger color, and then you get like the the Trinitron
Mhm.
flat, big 9,000-pound TV to
Oh god,
to
yeah.
finally somebody mounting it properly above a fireplace, like as God intended fireplaces to be.
Got it.
But like the furniture, I think is an interesting way because like the one couch they have before they get to that awful, hideous sectional.
Oh, you don't like the sectional?
No, I don't.
No, it's terrible.
Terrible.
It's
terrible.
fucking
I
terrible.
like the sectional.
Now, like, look, it is very early 80s.
True.
Very early 80s. But like that couch that they had from like 1955 to like 1980, I'm just like, that's the same couch as my grandma's house. Just in a
Yep.
goddamn different color. Just so old. It's
Got that
unbreakable.
weird, like it's got that weird like almost like yarn kind of
yeah, like you
fabric.
can
Yep.
like feel it.
Yep, my
and it's-
my
yeah,
grandmother had
mhm.
one too. Yep.
Yeah, we all.
It's terrible.
It was
They
a
all
blue
did, yeah.
monstrosity.
They all did.
Called it the
Terrible.
Cookie Monster because you lose food in it.
Yeah, it's just gone. Jesus Christ, a whole pack of ramen in here. Gross.
There's a.
Yeah.
It's an odd. It's a weird. I'm glad we got it though. We need a like. I'm glad we get weird
Well-
little movies like this.
So you said that you're very happy with this movie, or you passed this movie. Like, look,
Yeah.
I give it credit for trying to do something different.
Mhm.
Now, I just don't think that what they tried. I don't think it works.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
like here's the thing, I will never fault somebody for trying to do something different. I will, with honesty, say like I'll be happy if I don't see a movie that tries to emulate this. Like, I think that would be one, probably not for the better, and two, we've already seen it and it didn't really work.
I just don't know what story context you could do besides the one they did, and it makes sense. Like it like you could get like a maximum like 5 different stories with this, right? Like
Sure.
that isn't about like the same thing, like a family or like this house and its story and its
It's
journey.
just a
through
fucking
time.
dentist office.
yeah. Like you get one like family home, you get one place of business, you get one war torn place, and then you get one alien landing
No,
site.
you want to
That's
know where it would actually be an interesting thing if you wanted to try to do a full movie like this
The
with the
Oval
story.
Office.
No, well, yes, okay, that's a good one too. But like, what about a
They're wild.
What about a funeral home?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Different
the
families
like
coming in, and
yeah,
stuff, and
like
the way they deal with grief.
yeah,
and-
like I think that would be an interesting thing.
Mhm.
Or like the delivery room at a hospital, like like
A lot of screaming. A lot of
Well,
screaming.
sure, but I mean, like a lot of things can happen there.
True. Yeah.
Like, so like you would get an interesting kind of story. Like, look, everybody's been to a funeral that's been fun or like
Mhm.
happy. Everybody's been to a funeral that's been super sad.
Yeah.
Everybody's been to I mean, at least personally, I've been to a funeral where it's very contentious. Like you can get really interesting stories from things like that.
Yep.
And it can be really fucking gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
what? Robert
That would
Zemeckis,
not be a
call me
fun
up,
movie,
buddy.
though.
It could be.
That'd be
Well,
it'd
here's
be
the-
hard.
It could be. Will it be? I don't know.
It would
but
have its
it could
It
be.
could have its moments. I would give
Yes.
you that. Yeah.
But
Otherwise,
I mean, like,
that's gonna
look,
be a sad
deep down,
fucking
this
movie.
movie's not overly happy.
No, it
No,
isn't.
it's
It
not.
isn't.
You're
And
right.
With,
Yeah.
without
It's
the
not.
without the Lazy Boy segment, it would have been way more dreadful. Like it would have been way more like a downer.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesus up on a ladder, snapping pictures, just naked.
Not just that, they're
Killing
just having sex on the Lazy Boy. Like, come on.
Yeah, bro. Well, first
Good
off,
for
what's the
him.
lazy boy for? Good for
Good
him.
for him, man.
I mean, he made it, so I
Yeah.
get it. That's his.
He's an inventor.
He's making babies on his baby. I get it. You know what I mean? It's understandable.
Relaxa Boy, like the names they had. Also,
Relaxy boy.
Did you like when they were talking about the buying the house in the 1945 when they're like,
Oh, $3,200. You sons of bitches.
you sons of bitches. Yeah,
I spent that like last weekend.
Jesus,
Fucking
yeah.
assholes.
Crazy.
yeah. Talking about
I've had multiple vacations that cost significantly more than that house.
they're talking about how it's like, oh, that's too.
Which is like but besides, like that house is like $1.5 million, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Oh yeah, right now where it's at. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
especially
Yeah.
where it's at. Yeah,
4
yeah.
bedrooms upstairs.
5. Yeah. Oh god.
where
yeah.
is it, by the way? Like, where exactly?
So they don't really say, but listen, it's got to be somewhere in like that Philly, New York area, right? Like, just based off the colonial stuff that they say where Ben Franklin's father would have lived. Like, it's got to be, can't be too far from there.
I'm actually surprised, like, because the British, like, sometime in the early 1800s, the British came over and like they marched troops like through many U.S. cities. So I'm surprised we didn't see something like that. Like, although it would have been kind of jarring, but
Well, I do love the colonial guy where he's like, we just got to dispatch the British up front. The one guy's like, damn it. He's just like mad. It's like, I just got here.
It just says some part of Pennsylvania.
yeah.
So like, it's got to be like Philly, Harrisburg area, then, right?
Yeah,
It's got to be
because they
there.
talk about Philly a lot. And they talk about
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Well, when he's mentioning like all like the different like towns in Philly, in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania,
go on the other
it's
side
like,
of the state. Yeah,
like I've heard of 5 out of 6 of these.
yeah,
so,
it's definitely.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I guess overall thoughts. I like the attempt here. I like what we got. I was into it. I know a lot of people weren't, but I was oddly like hooked almost the entire time.
yeah, I get
But
you.
maybe
Yeah, that's good,
maybe
though.
because like I was expecting, and I'll be honest. Okay, so just my last thing is when you finally realize, well, we don't finally realize, but when you realize why they're there, so they sit down, and then the camera turns,
Yeah.
and she's like, I remember everything. I love this house, like, because the whole time she's fucking hated the house, and
She hated that fucking
she
house.
hated that house.
she hated it. And I mean, it was probably a big reason why they got divorced. To be honest, is like Jesus.
Well,
I hate the ending of
Well,
this.
that's
the thing
is, like,
for that reason.
The thing is, like, I was expecting something
ending's cheap.
else to like. Okay, I was like, okay, what now? And then that just pans out like it's not showing you anything that we didn't already know, except that life continues around what our vignette of the life. You know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the points they're making with that final shot is like like lifetime, like people's lives like happened in this small square space.
Yep.
but
Right?
like there's
that's
this
what it's
massive
highlighting at the very
picture
end.
to see it too. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
just it was a
Yeah, but,
weird
like,
way to end that.
It really was. I agree with you on that. And like I feel like that like you just said, Roger, the whole like her like saying how much she loved this place, loved this house. It takes away from everything they built up for that character in the movie. It's just a weird way to end that, to like, well, we got to make you feel good at the end, so here you go. It's like,
What if?
Oh man,
what if she just said, I hate this.
I remember this house. I hate it here.
Yeah.
And this fucking cuts to black. He just hard out.
Tom Hanks' character just goes, oh.
He just pushes her down.
I mean, it was a weird way.
He
To
stands
end
up
it.
and puts rubber gloves on.
Maybe,
while he's
maybe
standing
that wasn't
behind
the original ending. Maybe they audibled at the last moment. I mean, maybe
They may have, honestly.
it's really tough to know like what reshoots happened and what they were shot. Like
Mhm.
it's just tough to know in the
Yeah.
editing room. But like,
I have a joke I will say, but not on this show.
Okay, yeah, save it for afterwards.
thank you very
Stick
much.
around.
Thank you much for that. I
I don't-
appreciate that.
I don't know. Like my final thoughts on this are, I understand what they were doing. Unfortunately, with the medium that they boxed themselves into, literally, they could only tell so like a certain type of story, and it was very predictable because of that. Because again, they were locked into telling a certain type of story, which means I expected a certain type of story, and I was spot on with all my expectations. And it just at a certain point, and it doesn't take long to get this feeling. The movie to me feels very gimmicky. It feels like, like the trope is over with. Let's get on to the next thing. And I don't know. Beyond the emotional moments that I knew were going to happen, I didn't feel as connected to the characters I think they wanted you to be, and that's because they don't have the advantage of full cinematography work. And I think that really does hurt a story like this that they want you to feel connected to. Interesting idea. I'm glad that someone found this thing cool and they wanted to make it into something, but I don't think I'll ever tell anyone to watch this. And I won't watch this ever again.
Really, you wouldn't
It's not for me.
like even if someone's like, "Hey, I was thinking about checking that out. Should I?" Like, you wouldn't even be like, "Yeah, but."
Okay, I'm
yes,
sorry.
but
I'm sorry.
here, like,
My 78-year-old uncle, great uncle, I'll tell him about it.
that's not,
He'll probably
that's not
think it's
fair.
pretty cool.
Okay, fine.
He'll probably think it's pretty cool.
That's fair. I guess I'm old. What about
You
you,
got anything, Roger?
So,
Final thoughts?
like, and I've already mentioned it. Like, the idea I think is interesting. Movie just doesn't pay off for me.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of telling, a story, has happened 1,000 times in 1,000 different houses. I get it. Like, it doesn't feel inauthentic. It doesn't feel like that it's something that could have never happened. It's just, I just didn't really dig it.
Yeah.
It's not super long, which is good for this instance. Cause like I said, I didn't really enjoy it, but like, it could have been better. Like I said, the de-aging thing is pretty jarring still to this day. I don't know why we keep doing that.
Just like 3D, man. See?
Yeah. Overall, I don't think I'll probably never. I don't know if I'll check this out.
Yeah.
Ever again. I did see this by myself. Normally, my wife goes with me, so she said she would like to see it.
Oh, okay.
So I'll probably will. I'm sorry, I will see it at least one more time.
Throw it on for Thanksgiving because it'll be out on streaming pretty soon. I bet.
Not for Thanksgiving, it won't.
I mean, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
We're in the.
I mean, like,
Look, you want to make the first
Joke.
official bet of the show? I'm happy to take it, but I don't. I do not think I have a lot of Baconator debt to pay down.
We'll
so-
discuss our terms after the show ends.
Yeah, you have a very specific Joe Exotic bet that you still have to pay up for. That we
That's
found.
true.
But so, like, yeah, I think the movie. It's just even if I would have put it, it's never more than fine,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah,
not very good.
That's true. Yeah,
So-
it never rises past that point. This movie doesn't do anything to kind of like give it past that like that 5 area.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
will give it.
Yeah.
I will give it some credit. It doesn't do anything overly terribly either. It doesn't do a lot of things
Fair.
great, but I don't know. It's just really not for me. That's
Yeah.
all.
Very lukewarm on this movie is the way I feel. It's
Sure.
like, okay, it happened. Cool.
Yep. It's a movie.
Fair enough, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's how I spent my Saturday
By yourself in a theater with OCAP.
alone, reading subtitles.
I wish more theaters offered that. It would.
Well, look, I kind of dug the. I kind of.
I kind of wonder what your 750 showing would have been like though. Like
It didn't say OCAP.
Well,
No,
I get that.
Oh,
but,
you
like,
mean how many people were going to be there?
Yeah. Because
It still might have just been me. I could, you know what? I could have popped my head in probably.
yeah.
I know it was in a different hallway. I didn't want to cut.
Yeah, screw that then. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
Well, gentlemen, I think that does it for this episode number 2, discussing here on Post Credits Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we hope to see you in the episodes to come. And we will be available on all the usual spaces. It's just we haven't got all that figured out quite yet. However, when these post, as you're hearing this, the first few that we shot before the official launch they're gonna post like one right after another day, like for the first 4 days. So those it'll be quick, so you can get those.
We'll get them all out there.
Working the kinks out. But I hope you enjoyed our discussion of here, and it's more of a divisive movie than I would have thought between us too.
I
I'm
wasn't
not surprised about the way we thought about this at all.
Fair enough.
This sounds about right.
Yep.
Well, look for us for the next show. We got some exciting stuff planned.
Yeah. Oh no. We gotta wait till it comes back in.
What happened?
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we
Hey, wait, I couldn't click the stop button.
We couldn't push a stop
Wait,
button for a
my-
minute.